Hello everyone and welcome back for what's been quite some time for the BMW M3 League, of course at NXTGEN, and we are at round 4 of Lago Maggiore race 1. It's been quite some time since this race was conducted. I have no idea who's won this race in any case, which is good news, so a bit of excitement to come along the way in these catch-up videos that we've got to try and crack on with here at NXTGEN. But in terms of the M3 League, on round 4, race 1, we've got NXTGEN Les on pole position. Adam ID is in second place on the grid. Third is Fordyce, fourth is Maggiore, fifth is Bruce Lee Harding, sixth place Traumatic Dave, Joey Dunlop 3 is 7th, NXTGEN Danzo 8th, NGR Tim in 9th, and Doves 1971 is in 10th place. So 5 rows of the grid all covered in this M3 League. So we'll press the play button, we'll see how everybody gets on as the timer starts to count down. We can't see the numbers, but here we go then as the revs rise. Who's going to get the best start in this race? Tim's jumped the start and away we go. It's Les who takes him away as they approach turn 1 at Lago Maggiore. Adam ID's filtered himself inside. Fordyce is alongside him going into turn number 1. On the brakes they go. Looks like Fordyce is relatively alongside, but he gets crowded out by Adam. So line astern as they go into turn 2. Difficult right-hander to try and comprehend, but Maggiore keeps himself in 4th. There's Bruce Lee in 5th. It's Traumatic Dave and Joey Dunlop side by side with Danzo looking to try and get involved as they go through turn 3 now. Right on board with Traumatic Dave. He's on the brakes on the inside at turn 3. He's a bit sideways coming out of it on those racing hards, but he's just about emerged in front of Joey Dunlop, who's going to go immediately straight on the attack back into that long swooping turn 5 and 6. On the brakes he's looking towards the inside. He's got a bit of a gap, but door banging between the two, but they get through it fairly okay, and that's move completed for Joey Dunlop. So he moves up the grid to 6th place. Dando's just in behind. Doves is in front of Tim, who jumped the start. Tim running a different livery for this event. He's in a Texaco back car with what looks like to be a moustache on the front of his M3 there, handlebar moustache going on. Back at the front, Les still leads though. It's Adam ID, Maggiore and Fordyce all together as they go towards the hairpin for what will be the first time on board with Adam and Fordyce. Adam already moving to the inside as it comes to that very complicated off-bank hairpin. You see Maggiore trying to go around the inside. Fordyce goes on the outside, but he's far too deep into the corner, and Maggiore moves up into 3rd place as a result. Just went a bit too late on the brakes, did Fordyce. He's going to be susceptible to an attack now from Bruce Lee Harding, ever grumpy in that Nuka-Cola car. You can see he's trying to jump to the inside line. He's looking to do so going into the 5th to last corner. Can he pull it off? He can't. So he stays in that row of cars, all trying to hang on to the back of Les, who's got a nice little advantage already after just one, well, not even one lap, a whole set almost still to complete. So Les will lead as he comes around this final corner. Adam we're on board with at the moment. He's 2nd place. As wide as he wants to go at the final corner, just about survives. Maggiore in 3rd. Look at Bruce Lee making a little look at the inside of Fordyce. Will he choose to do so? Now he pulls out of the slipstream. Looked like he braked a touch there, and he has to back out of it. Maybe he got too close to the back of Fordyce. Fordyce runs deeper into the corner. Bruce takes a tighter line. In theory, it should give him the opportunity to swing the car up, but Fordyce was absolutely brilliant out of turn 2. So he is closer now to Maggiore than he's been for the duration of these opening laps. Let's look at a little bit further back. Dave's got past Joey, and Danzo taking a peculiar line out of turn 3. He's kept on it though. There's Joey. It's gone backwards a little bit, so maybe a little mistake on a WD-40 driver. Doves is still 9th. Tim ran out that top 10 as it stands presently, but Maggiore has company in the form of Fordyce. Windscreen wipers are going once again. Did find out the story about this from Maggiore. He said that one of the buttons mapped to his wheel, for some reason it tends to have an issue, and he just accidentally knocks it and there he goes. He can't remember how to turn it off, so he'll have to deal with that for the rest of this race. And Fordyce's pressure, as you can see, we're going towards that hairpin once again. You see Fordyce just dinks out of the slipstream. Just have a little look, fill the mirrors of Maggiore. He goes for the inside line, catches Maggiore by surprise, and into 3rd place goes Fordyce And look at Bruce Lee, he's looking to try and take advantage of this now. We'll ride on board of him. We know that Mehanesta's alongside him. You can see the M3 just comes across that rear quarter, and Bruce Lee backs out of it. Has no choice but to, otherwise they're both speared off circuit. So the battle for third place heating up as Bruce again looks to the inside, a bit sideways, bit of dust kicked up from the drivers going into the final section of the lap. But Bruce Lee now looking to try and make an overtake on the American. And he's still got plenty of time to do so, but Fordyce already looks like he's got a gap. You can see Mehanesta's gone deep into the final corner. This is the opportunity that Bruce Lee has been looking for in these opening few laps. Will he get through? He's already cleared Mehanesta before they get to turn one. I don't think he's going to try a late lunge, and he doesn't. So Bruce Lee up into fourth place. Fordyce just a bit sideways out of turn one as they go through turn two. Very tight, complex set of corners, both very slow. The M3 doesn't lend itself well to these slower corners. And this is just coming through 3 and 4 now through the sort of S complex. Runs right over the AstroTurf. He's going to go on the grass to come back on the circuit. Dramatic Dave's not too far away from all this. Joey's got back ahead of Danzo. That's a very recent manoeuvre. You can see as they go through the double turn 5s and 6, just see Mehanesta's losing the back of the cars in front of him, so maybe the raw pace for Mehanesta not quite where he wants it in the race. Then you got the quadruple switchback of S's as Bruce goes sideways through turn 8. Just about held on. Lucky to survive, but good car control. And he's kept himself within the slipstream of Fordyce, so he's not too far away from the man in third place as they come towards turn 12. A bit of work to do for Bruce. Adam ID just running in second. He's sort of shadowed Les all season long, has Adam. Certainly capable of race victories, but Les has just pipped him to the post throughout. And here at round 4, can he do anything around this Italian circuit built on a lake in a wonderful tropical part of Italy, down the southern banks? It's Fordyce sweeping through there, coming into the third to last corners. Bruce Lee just runs a little bit wider than he wants, and Mehanesta's not too far away. Dramatic Dave running in 6th, a 2:12.2 on his first proper flying lap in the race, so to speak. It was a bit wide though through the final corner. He went very wide, in fact, almost flying off the circuit at turn 19. A little bit slower that time around, so see what the drivers can do in the opening couple of minutes. That's the position so far. Themselves through the corners. So far so good for the drivers, keeping it on circuit around Lago Maggiore. Not easy to do with this circuit. It is known to be quite a difficult circuit to keep on track on. You know, track limits aren't usually too much of a problem for most of the lap, apart from this final sector that we're coming towards. You see Mehanesta closing that gap on Bruce Lee Harding. And Fordyce hasn't pulled away as far as you would have expected him to, but Adam is closing the gap to Les. You can see visually that's a lot closer than what it has been. Adam ID purple sector there. 2:11 is best lap. Oh, he just got a bit tight to the line of the AstroTurf there. That's going to compromise him through turn 16. He's got away with that. You see Les still leading the way. He's got the fastest lap so far, has Les. 2:10.9. And you can see as he comes towards the line now, what's the lap time this time around from Les? 2:10.9. Adam even quicker, 2:10.7. So 2/10 up on Les. Sounds like a large margin, but it's a small margin rather. But in a race like this, in a battle of intense pressure, a few tenths can turn into a lot more than that if the driver ahead or behind starts making a mistake or two. And Adam will know that. He can see that the gap is visually smaller than what it has been as he goes sideways through turn number 4. You can tell he's pushing as he comes to the half distance mark in this round 4 race 1. Let's take him as wide a line as he possibly can. I hesitate to say that he went on the grass slightly. He was a little bit unsettled, but seems he's done quite well coming out of that corner. You see the drivers behind still relatively close together. Fordyce just not pulling away as much as we would have expected, as Bruce Lee takes a nice line through this quadruple set of corners, the S quadruple so to speak. Flicks the car over that big sausage curve on the inside through turn 11, and on the approach now down towards turn 12. He's closing the gap to Fordyce. He's got a nice slipstream as well. He's just within the wheel tracks really of the grey and blue car in front of him. A Fordyce 2:12.1 last time around, 2/10 from Bruce, but that looks like it's even closer. And he's brought Maggiore with him, so the American looking for another podium, but he needs to hang on to the back of Bruce first before he can start thinking about anything like that. Dave having a pretty lonely race in 6th, Joey in 7th, Danzo 8th place. Guys outside of the top 5 just having a pretty lonely one, it has to be said. There's Tim in the handlebar moustache M3 he's got there. There's still leading. Adam still in 2nd. Let's have a look at the lap times this time around as they go on to lap number 6. We'll see if Les has improved at all. No, he's a little touch slower, but Adam batching him, so not as quick as the lap prior. What about Fordyce? It's a 2:11.2. Actually pulled time on Bruce Lee Harding, so maybe Bruce having a little bit of a mistake somewhere on circuit in that final sector. He looked closer than what he is now, so a little error maybe from the Nuka-Cola driver. Maggiore still sat there, and this is the thing in terms of for the drivers, they have to stay alert during this race, even though there's no, as I say that, Maggiore sideways out of turn 4. And that's what I'm talking about. They have to be careful. They have to be concentrating all the way through this race. It's not a question of just follow the car in front. They have to ensure that they're keeping the car in a straight line, pointed exactly where it needs to be. But additionally, they also need to ensure they're keeping up that speed. Psychologically, it can be quite draining. Once a mistake creeps in, they start making more and more through the race. It's all about getting that mentality, so that they ensure they keep it on the circuit and keep the pressure on. But Maggiore hasn't had the best sequence of corners, and you can see that gap has grown exponentially. 2/10 slower than his best lap for the American driver, as Bruce still in 4th. It looks like it's pretty stationary in terms of on-track action at the moment. But Fordyce, despite being in 3rd, he'll know that Bruce isn't too far away. He'll know that Bruce can catch him if he makes a mistake, and that'll be preying on his mind. Make sure he hits those lines. Nicely done. Through turn 16 as he comes through now, turn 15, the one prior to that. Had a very nice line through there. Bruce a little bit sideways coming through that double right-hander. There's Maggiore. He chucks the car in. Nice line out the final corner. Nice and early on the power, right onto the white line. He went as near as he could to the grass without spinning off. The windscreen wipers still ablaze. If you can have windscreen wipers ablaze, it would be an achievement. Oh, that looks a bit of puff of smoke coming from a car in front, and that's Fordyce, I think, who just went a bit deeper there into the corner than he would have anticipated. And that was indeed a mistake for him. So Fordyce all about the concentration, as I've said before. As you can see, Bruce Lee taking that tighter line, jumping over the curb. You can do that on the GP loop. And he's taking full advantage of the track limits there. Some might argue that that's not sporting. Others would say if it's in the rule book, you can do it. Next Gen, if it's in the rule book, it's fine. So Bruce Lee just carries on. Now he's going to be thinking about trying to put the pressure onto the back of Fordyce and trying to keep his gap to Maggiore behind, who's having some difficulties keeping consistent lines through the 4 corner quadrant, I'm going to call it from now on. Through turns 7, 8, 9 and 10. Comes out of 11 pretty much fine. But those 4 corners so vital to get it right into turn 7. If you run too wide or turn too early, it compromises your line, and that'll affect you all the way down the straight to this turn 12 hairpin. You can see he's just a little bit further behind now, and Bruce Lee has closed that margin down. He's on his way to the back of Fordyce. It's took him a good number of laps to get here. We're only on lap 7 at present. Setting a personal best as he comes into turn number 15. You can see Fordyce just a little bit more active is Fordyce's car. I feel that Fordyce has got a bit more brake balance to the rear than Bruce Lee has. You watch how the cars turn in. As I say that, Bruce Lee's very sideways out of the final corner, and Fordyce pulls away. So it seems to be the strengths of the two drivers playing against one another there as he go over the line for the 8th time. Bruce Lee certainly just not able to hang on to the back of Fordyce. Maybe that's to do with driver style. You know, we know that Fordyce is very strong on the technical circuits, and that final sector is sort of like threading a needle, really. And Fordyce has been showing in the past few seasons, not just on GT Sport but on Project Cars too, he can handle the more technical tracks, and that is certainly one element of it here at Lago Maggiore. On the brakes down into 3rd gear, flicks the car through, nice line actually, and Bruce went way too deep at 5 and 6, and you can see how a mistake around this circuit can exacerbate the issue in terms of the gap. And look at Maggiore, he's now found himself on the back of Bruce Lee Harden, who's gone deep into 7. He's going to be compromised coming out of turn 9, and he is indeed. Look at the run that Maggiore has. He goes a little bit on the grass, keeps his momentum up. Which way does Bruce Lee go in terms of defending? Does he go left? He does, and that's a chance for Maggiore to go up the inside. He's in the slipstream and now alongside Bruce Lee as they come towards turn 12. Over the crest they go, down towards the braking marker at 50 metres. Breaks a touch earlier, does Maggiore, gives a lot of racing room, but he goes through and takes 4th place. But Bruce Lee not giving up. He's tried to do the switchback coming out of turn 12. He's going to try and go around the outside through 13 and 14. Be a brave man who pulls this off. He's still there up the inside. He goes over the grass just to try and cut the corner and avoid contact, which he's done. Maggiore went all over the grass, and Bruce Lee fight back, takes 4th place again. Good fighting between the two, nice and clean. But Bruce Lee Harden currently running in 4th place. But that's, look at the gap between themselves now and Fordyce. Gap looking, I'd say it's about 2 and a bit seconds at this present time. And just 1 lap ago, Bruce Lee was half a second away from Fordyce. And now you look at the gap, it's much bigger than that, much greater. So, only a few laps remaining in this race. Potentially 2 laps. And Bruce Lee and Maggiore, their fight starts now for that 4th position. It'll give him a good benefit for the race 2 reverse grid sprint. But time will tell in race 2, which will be streaming shortly after this one. See Maggiore right in the back of Bruce Lee's mirrors. Nice line from Bruce Lee in that corner, as it was for Maggiore. There's Traumatic Dave in 6th, just running around 2:12.2, his best lap, but he's only done it twice in fact. He's got to try and find a bit more pace if he can to join the fight in the top 5. Joey Dunlop at 2:12.7. Danzo at 2:14s on his own. Very lonely race. Tim and Dove's very close together on circuit. Both of them setting wildly varying times. Dove's has gone off on the last lap. Somewhere on track. Lots of flashing of the lights from Dove's. As you see, he's flashed the lights as he goes sideways through turn 4. Not sure if that's a glitch in the replay or something along those lines. Could be a nice fight to happen though towards the end for those two. Speaking of fighting, is anything occurring in the fight for 4th? Looks like Bruce has just gapped himself a little bit. Machinester 4/10ths off his personal best, so a little bit of time lost for the most wanted inspired livery driver. He just clips over that curb, coming out of turn 17 and 18. On the brakes into turn 19. This will be effectively the final lap, I believe, for these drivers. So Bruce Lee comes towards the line. He gets another lap. Machinester will get another lap as well. A personal best from Machinester there, 2:11.5. So he's found a lot of time in that final sector. Traumatic Dave's going to come towards the line. He's going to finish in 6th place. Big sliders across the line he goes. Joey Dunlop, not as elegant, hits the wall, but finishes in 7th place. Danzo sideways coming out of the final corner. Nice shot that was. As he comes towards the line, he's going to finish in 8th place. Tim, I think, is going to finish 9th. Seems to have pulled quite a gap on Doves in this final lap. So Tim and Doves, the perennial contenders, they're going to renew their battle in race 2. They'll start 1st and 2nd on the grid, so it'll be good to see who gets a good launch. Dove's taking an alternative line through turn 18. Les still leads the way. Adams there in 2nd. He's got a huge gap as Les now to the guys behind him. But Bruce Lee and Machinester, anything can happen on this final lap. There you go. Maggiore has a tendency to throw up mistakes. You see Machinester revving as much as he can out of that M3 before he shifts up to 5th. And you can see he's inching his way onto the back of Bruce Lee, but he's not quite close enough. On the brakes, down into 3rd gear, clips the curb. He's just not quite close enough. He is closing that gap though, and this is completely flat, these 2 corners in this M3. So he's got one opportunity realistically to try and make a late lunge on Bruce Lee Harden before we cut to next gen Les. On the brakes they go, down into 3rd gear for the drivers. Bruce Lee sideways, but keeps the car pointed in a straight line. Into the penultimate corner. Bruce is wide. Is there going to be a chance for a late lunge? We're going to have to cut to next gen Les though, because he's going to take another victory in the M3 series. Great result for him. He takes the checkered flag. Adam ID is going to come home in 2nd. 4Fish will come home in 3rd. Bruce Lee is going to fend off Machinester for 4th place. And that is the end of race 1 at Lago Maggiore. Les absolutely fantastic in that event. Drove superbly well, and a huge gap at the end of the race, so well done to him. 4Fish ended up getting that 3rd place, and Adam ID took 2nd in the end. Good battle between Bruce Lee Harding and Machinester too, so that was good to watch. But nevertheless, we will be stopping this stream, and I will be back very shortly for race 2 of the McGann BMW M3 Trophy.